Hey guys, it's Anthony. Bitcoin is approaching 100,000 after breaking through its all-time high of 8 months. In this video, I'll share with you 5 pro tips to help you navigate the high volatility that could be coming. We'll dive into Bitcoin's potential vertical phase and why it's important. Finally, I'll reveal the magic number that very few are aware of that represents the threshold Bitcoin needs to cross in order to trigger escape velocity. This one might surprise you. So come along with me. Let's jump in and get started. Here's where Bitcoin closed last week on the weekly chart. It ended in a strong green candle, so the breakout is pretty much confirmed. It would take a considerable effort to reverse the momentum, but it's always good to consider different outcomes, no matter how improbable they may seem. Now this week so far we're seeing a strong follow-through. So there's a similar analysis for this week's close compared to last week. If we get a modest or weak candle with a large upper wick, we could see a pullback with a healthy uptrend in the next few weeks. If we get a strong solid candle that closes at highs again, then the chance that Bitcoin goes vertical increases. To clarify, I'm referring to a larger scale vertical price move that continues for several months, not short term. Now some might say Bitcoin has already gone vertical. That's perfectly okay. Everyone is entitled to their own definitions and what works for them. Oh, and quick reminder, investing and trading involve risks, so be sure to read the disclaimer in the description before making any decisions based on this video. First, why does it matter whether or not Bitcoin is in the vertical phase? For one, it can help us prepare for the eventual fear and greed we might feel. It can also help us decide whether or not to buy pullbacks or just wait and see. Let's watch how this developed in 2017. You'll see that some of these early moves already seem vertical or parabolic. And as you can see by the red bars, Bitcoin had large pullbacks of 20 to 40%, but still continued to jump higher. You'll see those past bars shrink and shrink, even though they seemed large at the time. During a normal phase, these large pullbacks are a sign of weakness in the market. If it's in a long-term vertical phase, these pullbacks result in shaking out the weaker hands. These drawdowns can be extremely painful for holders who have to stomach the downturn in hopes of the next leg higher. In this phase, the rules have changed, so it's probably good to use a different strategy that's more suited to that market environment. Later on in the video, I'll share with you 5 pro tips that helped me in previous cycles, but first let's go over the criteria for confirming the vertical phase. Number 1. Breakout into new all-time high territory. We got this last week, so we can check that off. Number 2. Clean breakout above previous all-time high. This has to be clean, meaning we want confirmation on the weekly timeframe that price closes near the new highs. If we compare this with the March 2024 breakout, that broke out and then sharply reversed, so it didn't pass criteria 2 then. We can check this off now because the previous all-time high was 74,000 and last week cleanly closed above it at 80,000. Criteria number 3. 21 SMA histogram closes near the previous peak. This one's a little more intricate, but I'll show you how to do this. I have a 21 period SMA histogram indicator here that's useful for spotting trends. Now go back to the previous price peak and see where its histogram peaks. In this case, we have to look back at 2021. And the highest peak here is, it says 31,313 in orange. That histogram value, about 31,000, becomes the value you're looking to match now. So back to today, 2024, once the histogram reaches about 31,000, that's the final criteria confirming the start of the vertical phase. We'll use this to determine the magic number. Now, after doing the calculations, the magic number for the price of Bitcoin is 93,000. If Bitcoin closes at least 93,000, this confirms criteria 3, signaling the start of a new vertical phase. So pretty neat if this happens, since it's very close to 93,000. Bitcoin investors don't need to worry too much. If you're comfortable holding, there may not be a bad time to buy. For those that trade and min-max their profits, it's a lot more difficult, so it's crucial to have a plan. Here are some pro tips for trading in a vertical phase. They encompass lessons that I've learned during the 2017 and 2021 bull runs. Pro tip number 1. The first 2 large pullbacks of 20% or more after the vertical phase starts could be good buying opportunities. There is always risk, but market cycles have shown that price increases can pick up steam as casual retail investors pile in for the next leg up. It's very easy to give in and sell at these points, so please be cautious and careful. Pro tip number 2. Subsequent pullbacks after the first 2 are much riskier. They could be good selling opportunities for scaling out or completely cashing out. Sentiment would be extremely bullish during these moments, so it could be tough not to get caught up in the mainstream euphoria. We shouldn't ignore the possibility that this could be the end of the uptrend. Pro tip number 3. Be careful when scaling out. There's a risk of selling too much too early before the largest increases have even started. Scaling out is normally ideal, but it might not be the best strategy here unless you can wait months for price to develop extreme separation. That said, there's always the risk of missing out if the price increase turns out to be less than anticipated. Pro tip number 4. Doing nothing is something. In a previous video, we saw how Bitcoin reached its eventual top within 7 months in 2017 and 11 months in 2021. So staying patient could be key. And finally, pro tip number 5. Safe strategies can work. This may be the most important tip. It's generally best to exit using a safer strategy like the 21 weekly moving average. It has been proven to capture a large percentage of the move while minimizing the risk of selling too early. I'd like to know what you all think. Is Bitcoin just getting started? How high can it go? Are there any lessons you learned from past cycles, or is this your first bull run? Let us know in the comments. So that's going to do it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bitcoin at all-time highs can be tough to read, so I really hope you got something out of this that will help you out. If you like this content, we do this weekly, so please consider subscribing. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.